Have you ever wondered why, even with a brand new pair of glasses, the world sometimes still looks just a little bit dimmer than it used to? It is a question that keeps many of us up at night. We assume it is just part of the deal. We think that by the time we hit 60, our eyes are simply destined to fade and our memories are supposed to get a little foggy because of bad genes, or simply because another birthday has passed. But what if that decline is not actually about how many years you have lived, but about a specific building block that has gone missing from your plate? The reality is that most of us have stopped eating the very raw materials our brains and retinas need to repair themselves. But here is the promise I want to make you today. You can actually help hit the repair button on your vision and your cognitive focus, and you do not need a prescription pad or a complicated new diet to do it. It starts with understanding a single powerful nutrient and 4 common foods, items likely sitting in your grocery store right now, that act like a master key to unlock your body's natural ability to rebuild. To understand why this matters, we have to look at what is actually happening inside our systems. By the time the average American reaches their 60th birthday, their eyes have often lost nearly 30% of their protective pigment. Think of this pigment as a pair of internal sunglasses. When that pigment thins out, your retina becomes vulnerable. It is like taking the shingles off your roof. Eventually, the weather gets in. At the same time, data from major brain aging studies suggests our processing centers can shrink by 5% every decade after 60. Now that sounds frightening, but fear is not helpful. Action is. The decline largely happens because we are running low on a compound called lutein. You might have heard that word thrown around in supplement commercials, but its role is much more profound than just a vitamin. Lutein is structural. It is the literal mortar that holds the bricks of your retina and your brain tissue together. When you have enough of it, your body can rebuild what has been worn down. When you are deficient, and statistics show that 8 out of 10 adults in the United States are severely deficient, that wear and tear speeds up. The reason we are deficient is simple. We stopped eating the foods that contain it because we were told they were bad for us, or simply because they fell out of fashion. We were told eggs were dangerous for our hearts. We were told corn was just empty starch. We left these powerful tools on the shelf, but today we are going to put them back in your basket. We are going to walk through the 4 most powerful sources of this structural medicine, and I am going to explain exactly how to eat them so your body actually absorbs them. Let's start with the heavy hitter, a green leafy vegetable that many people push to the side of the plate, but which acts as the primary defense line for your central vision. We are talking about kale. Now, before you roll your eyes, listen to the mechanics of why this leaf is different from simple lettuce. Kale is not just roughage. It is a nutrient-dense storage unit for lutein and its partner, zeaxanthin. A single raw cup contains over 20 milligrams of these compounds. In the world of nutrition, that is a massive number. When you eat this, those compounds travel through your bloodstream and accumulate directly in the macula, which is the bullseye center of your retina. They rebuild that internal shield I mentioned earlier, absorbing excess blue light and protecting the delicate rods and cones that allow you to see clearly. But the benefits do not stop at your eyes. This travels upstream. Studies have shown that this nutrient crosses the blood-brain barrier and settles in the hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for memory and learning. There was a fascinating case of a woman named Ruth, age 70, who felt her world was getting smaller. She was forgetting names and felt unsafe driving at night. She didn't undergo surgery. She simply started adding kale to her scrambled eggs 3 times a week. 2 months later, her ophthalmologist noted an increase in that protective pigment density, and she reported feeling sharper in conversation. However, there is a catch with kale, and this is where most people get it wrong. You cannot just chew on a raw leaf and expect a miracle. Lutein is what we call fat-soluble. Imagine a lock that only opens with a specific key. In this case, the nutrient is locked inside the fibrous plant, and the key is healthy fat. If you eat kale dry or just steamed with water, your body lets most of that precious lutein pass right through you. To unlock the medicine, you must pair it with a fat source. This brings us to the application. The best way to use this is to lightly saute the kale. Heat breaks down the tough cell walls, and drizzling it with a tablespoon of good olive oil provides the fat carrier vehicle. The oil acts like a taxi, picking up the lutein and driving it straight to your retina. It is a small tweak, adding oil and heat, but it changes the food from simple fiber into a high-leverage vision tool. Now, let's move from the garden to something that feels much more like comfort food. This next item has been unfairly demonized as a filler food, But for our generation, it is actually a secret weapon for absorption. We are talking about yellow corn. For years, we were told to avoid corn because it was too starchy. But nature is smarter than the diet trends of the 90s. Yellow corn gets its bright color from, you guessed it, lutein. But here is the unique mechanism that makes corn so special for us. In corn, the lutein is bound in a specific chemical structure that is incredibly easy for the human body to extract. As we get older, our digestion slows down. We do not produce as much stomach acid, and we do not break down tough foods as efficiently as we did when we were 20. Because the lutein in corn is so bioavailable, your body does not have to work hard to get it. It is a high-yield investment. You put in a little effortless chewing, and you get a massive return in blood lutein levels. Research from the University of Illinois highlighted that when you combine the accessible lutein in corn with a bit of healthy fat, absorption rates skyrocket. This is crucial for what scientists call crystallized intelligence. This is the wisdom, the vocabulary, and the knowledge you have accumulated over a lifetime. High levels of lutein from foods like corn help protect those neural pathways, ensuring that your experience remains accessible to you. It is also gentle. If you have dental issues or trouble chewing tough greens, corn is soft, it is familiar, it is comforting. A simple half cup of cooked corn a few times a week can help maintain contrast sensitivity in your eyes. That is the ability to distinguish objects in low light, like seeing a curb at dusk or reading a menu in a dimly lit restaurant. It is a small addition that supports your independence. This leads us naturally to our third powerhouse, and this one requires us to unlearn a lie we were told for decades. This food was once the villain of the breakfast table, but it turns out it might be the hero of the aging brain. We need to talk about egg yolks. Please notice I said yolks, not just egg whites. For 30 years, we were told that yolks were cholesterol bombs that would clog our arteries. We ordered egg white omelets and threw the golden centers in the trash. We now know that was a mistake for our brain health. The science has evolved. The cholesterol in eggs does not directly translate to clogged arteries for most people, but the yolk contains a treasure trove of nutrition that we desperately need. Here is the magic of the egg yolk. It is a complete self-contained delivery system. Remember how I told you that you need to add oil to kale to make it work? Well, nature solved that problem for you with the egg. The yolk contains high levels of lutein, and it also contains the perfect amount of healthy fat and cholesterol needed to transport that lutein into your system. You do not need to add anything. It is ready to go. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition showed that older adults who ate just one egg a day for 5 weeks saw their lutein levels jump by 26%. That is a massive increase for such a small change. But the yolk offers another layer of leverage. It is rich in choline. Choline is the precursor to acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter that is critical for focus and memory. When you eat the whole egg, you are getting a dual action benefit: lutein for the structural repair of the eye and choline for the signaling speed of the brain. Think of Doris, a 73-year-old who felt like she was living in a mental fog. She hadn't eaten a yolk in 20 years because she was scared for her heart. When she finally reintroduced soft-boiled eggs into her mornings, she didn't just say her vision felt clearer. She said she felt like the lights had been turned back on in her mind. She could follow complex plots in movies again. She could organize her day without writing everything down. So, how do we apply this? The goal is to keep the yolk intact as much as possible. Soft-boiled or poached is the gold standard because it cooks the white but leaves the yolk nutrient-dense and undamaged by high heat. If you prefer scrambled, just keep the heat low and slow. Don't burn them. And please, stop buying the cartons of just egg whites. You are paying for the packaging and throwing away the medicine. Finally, we arrive at the fourth food. This one brings a burst of color and a unique advantage that neither greens nor eggs possess. It is the orange bell pepper. You might walk past these in the produce aisle and just see a salad ingredient, but the orange variety, specifically orange, not green or red, is a biological marvel. Among all 30-something species of peppers, the orange bell pepper has the highest concentration of zeaxanthin and lutein. We are talking about nearly 2,500 micrograms in a single pepper. That is a therapeutic dose in a food wrapper. The unique mechanism here is stability. Unlike spinach, which wilts and loses nutrients if you look at it wrong, the lutein in peppers is surprisingly stable. But the real advantage is that you can and should eat them raw. This is important because cooking destroys vitamin C, and orange peppers are loaded with it. Vitamin C is an antioxidant that patrols your bloodstream, neutralizing the oxidative stress that rusts our cells. When you eat a raw orange pepper, you get the structural repair of lutein and the cleaning crew of vitamin C in one bite. This is particularly helpful for the visual cortex, the part of your brain at the back of your head that processes what your eyes see. Have you ever looked at something and it took a split second to register what it was? That is a processing lag. The nutrients in these peppers help speed up that connection, making your reaction times faster. That matters when you are driving. That matters when you are trying to catch a falling object. The application here is the definition of minimum effort. You do not even have to turn on the stove. Slice half an orange pepper. The crunch is satisfying, the flavor is sweet, and the hydration is a bonus. It is the perfect afternoon snack or a side to your lunch. It is light on the stomach, but heavy on protection. So, we have these 4 powerful allies: the structural density of kale, the easy absorption of corn, the perfect delivery system of egg yolks, and the raw potency of orange bell peppers. But information without a plan is just trivia. How do we actually weave this into a life that is already full? We do not want a complicated regimen. We want a rhythm. Let's imagine a simple evening routine that incorporates these elements without disrupting your life. You do not need to eat all 4 every single day, but you want to create a rotation. Imagine it is Tuesday night. You are making your usual dinner. Instead of opening a can of green beans, you grab that bag of chopped kale. You toss a handful into the pan with a generous glug of olive oil and some garlic. It takes 3 minutes. While that is wilting down, you soft boil an egg to go on top or on the side. The runny yolk mixes with the greens, creating a sauce that is literally brain food. You have just combined the fiber, the fat, and the delivery system in one bowl. Or perhaps it is a Thursday. You are having a light sandwich. Slice up half an orange pepper on the side instead of chips. It gives you that crunch you crave, but feeds your brain instead of slowing it down. Later, while you are watching your favorite show, have a small bowl of warm corn with a slice of avocado or a dab of butter. It is comforting. It helps you wind down. And while you sleep, those nutrients are going to work, traveling to your retina to patch up the holes and thicken that protective shield. This is not about perfection. It is not about becoming a chef. It is about recognizing that your body is remarkably resilient. It wants to repair itself. It is just waiting for the raw materials. When you provide them, the results can feel almost magical, but it is just biology working as intended. It is important to remember that while these foods are powerful, they are part of a bigger picture. Always listen to your own body. If you have specific dietary restrictions or medical conditions, have a chat with your doctor before making big changes to your diet. They know your history best. But I want to ask you a question, and I would love for you to answer it down in the comments below. Out of these 4 foods, the kale, the corn, the eggs, or the peppers, which one have you been avoiding the most? Was it the eggs because of the cholesterol myth? Or maybe the corn because of the carbs? Let's get a conversation going about the foods we are ready to bring back into our lives. And if you found this helpful, if you want to keep learning how to use simple logic and biology to maintain your independence and vitality, please take a moment to click that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps us reach more folks just like you who are ready to take control of their health. Your body is telling a story. For a long time, the story might have been one of decline. But starting tonight, with a simple trip to the grocery store, you can start writing a new chapter, one focused on clarity, sharpness, and strength. Thank you for watching, and here is to seeing the world clearly for many years to come.